have an idea. Mr. President, why don't you give him a pardon?
I took into account President Trump's repeated appeals to the President of the state. President Trump called for the immediate end of the trial so that he and I could work together to further advance the vital interests shared by Israel and the United States.
I think that if he would resign, I would be happy to grant him reconciliation.
If he can't manage being the Prime Minister of the country and going to the trial, he should resign as Prime Minister. And I would be very happy to see him resign.
6 years after being charged with fraud, bribery, and breach of trust, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has formally asked President Isaac Herzog for a pardon, hoping to bring his lengthy and unprecedented corruption case to a close. In a recorded statement, Netanyahu reiterated that he accepts no guilt, disputing the charges and the fairness of the proceedings that led to his indictment. He likewise offered no indication of stepping down, asserting that a pardon would enable him to advance Israel's interests more effectively. Netanyahu added that ending the trial now would ease national tensions and help bring about broader reconciliation. The documents disclosed by Herzog's office comprise a 111-page application prepared by Netanyahu's attorney, Amit Haddad, along with a letter bearing Netanyahu's signature. From the moment he was indicted and throughout the trial starting in 2020, Netanyahu's opponents have pressed him to step aside. Soon after Netanyahu submitted a request for a pardon, Israel's opposition leader, Yair Lapid, said in a video statement that President Isaac Herzog should not grant Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a pardon unless Netanyahu acknowledges guilt, shows remorse, and withdraws from political life. From here, I call on President Herzog. You cannot pardon him without an admission of guilt, an expression of remorse, and an immediate retirement from the political life. Israelis said Netanyahu should be considered for a pardon only if he is found guilty in court or steps down under specific conditions. Some residents argue that granting a pardon now would absolve him of responsibility for the events of October 7th, while others expressed surprise at the request, noting that the trial is still underway and no conviction has been issued.
I think that if he would resign, I would be happy to grant him reconciliation. My son was killed on October 7th on the kibbutz, and I think that he should take responsibility for that. He should resign, and he should encourage setting up a national committee of inquiry. So there's justification for ending the trial, but only if he would resign. The president should not intervene here, in my opinion. The president has been supportive and has done a lot of really positive things. But in this case, I think he needs to, he should not intervene.
If he can't manage being the Prime Minister of the country and going to the trial, he should resign as Prime Minister. And I would be very happy to see him resign and for the trial to come to an end. And if he is found guilty, then he can apply for a pardon. But to ask for a pardon without admitting any guilt, without losing any position, without it affecting his life whatsoever, other than that he gets off scot-free, I certainly don't think that he should get it. I think that President Herzog should follow the rule of law of the State of Israel. And the rule of law says that you don't give a pardon until someone is found guilty. And so why asking for a pardon now, I don't know.
I think basically it was a minor infraction, and it really won't help the country except for people who hate Netanyahu. So I would hope Herzog will agree, and then we can get done with all this.
Netanyahu, in his address, said, "If pardoned, I could more vigorously advance Israel's interests." Netanyahu said one reason he sought a pardon was a recent letter from U.S. President Donald Trump to Herzog, sent on official White House letterhead. Trump had earlier urged a pardon during an October Knesset speech, suggesting it could help Netanyahu improve Israel's ties with neighboring countries. Watch Netanyahu's address to Israelis after submitting pardon request.
Citizens of Israel, it has been almost a decade since the investigations against me began. The trial on these matters has been ongoing for nearly 6 years, and it is expected to continue for many more years. The more exculpatory testimonies and evidence that completely undermine the prosecution's arguments against me are revealed in court, and the more it becomes clear that the evidentiary basis against me was constructed through the commission of serious offenses, my personal interest has been and remains to continue the process to its end until full acquittal on all charges. But the security and diplomatic reality, the national interest, these require otherwise. The State of Israel faces tremendous challenges alongside enormous opportunities. In order to overcome the threats, in order to realize the opportunities, national unity is required. Continuing the trial tears us apart from within, stirs up these divisions, and deepens the rifts. I am certain, like many others in the nation, that an immediate end to the trial would greatly help to lower the flames and promote the broad reconciliation our country so desperately needs. I have deliberated over this matter a great deal, but what has happened recently tipped the scales. Because of a decision stemming from the current panel of judges on the case, I am required to testify 3 times a week. 3 times a week is an impossible demand that is not required of any other citizen in Israel. Additionally, I took into account President Trump's repeated appeals to the President of the state. President Trump called for the immediate end of the trial, so that he and I could work together to further advance the vital interests shared by Israel and the United States during a window of opportunity that may never return. Dear citizens of Israel, time and again I have been elected in democratic elections and received your trust to continue serving as Prime Minister of Israel, first and foremost in order to realize these historic goals. For these reasons, my attorneys have today submitted a request for a pardon to the President of the state. I expect that everyone who has the good of the country at heart will support this step.
Let's look back at Trump's address to Israel's Knesset, where he asked the Israeli president to pardon Netanyahu.
Hey, I have an idea. Mr. President, why don't you give him a pardon? Give him a pardon. Come on. By the way, that was not in the speech, as you probably know. But I happen to like this gentleman right over here, and it just seems to make so much sense. You know, whether we like it or not, this has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. This has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. And cigars and champagne, who the hell cares about that? All right, enough controversy for the day, right? Actually, I don't think it's very controversial. So, you know, I see so popular. You are a very popular man. You know why? Because you know how to win. Over the past 2 years, I've met many of the families of the Israelis taken hostage and those that were taken hostage. Unbelievable. I've looked into their eyes. I've seen the worst nightmares of their suffering, but I've also seen something else, the beautiful love of the people, the love of people, frankly, that hold things together, the love that gives you the courage to carry on through thousands of years of persecution and repression and to emerge with the heart of David. It's the heart of David. It's that love that's defeated the enemies of civilization, built this incredible country and this unbelievable economy, and forged one of the great democracies of the world. That is why it's a true honor to stand here today and address this assembly in your ancient and eternal now capital, Jerusalem. I'm proud to have helped in that regard. This city and this nation stand as living proof that a much brighter future for this entire region is truly within our grasp. For thousands of years, Jerusalem has been a home to Christians, Jews, Muslims, and people of all ethnicities and creeds. This is the holy center of the world's three great Abrahamic faiths. I like that too. Adorned, it's the first time I've seen that word in a while. Adorned with their sacred sites and alive with their pilgrims and visitors from every corner of the globe. But here between the Western Wall, the Temple Mount, and the hill called Calvary, people of every faith and background live, work, pray, serve, and raise their families side by side, and they do it with love. This example is just one of the modern miracles that Israel has given to the world. And just in closing, the leaders in this chamber know better than anyone else the challenges of this harmony, and it's been easily won. No, it hasn't. It has not been. It's been so tough, but it has been, some say, a miracle. What you've done is a miracle. Look at your size. Look at your chances when it all started. And you know, if you think about it, you are safer today, stronger today, and more respected today than at any time in the history of Israel. Think of it.